I say that my job is drawing things on napkins and handing it to the build crew, and this is like a typical room sheet where every square foot of each wall is kind of detailed out, and then that is given to the crew as far as layout and flow and what furniture needs to be built and what has to happen on the walls. So that's all here, and then that turns into this stage, and then we have detailing and set stuff that comes in after that. Like this is, we get every room to where we could open this way if we had to. You know, we could open like this and once it's lit, but there's more layers of detail, of course, that go on after this, but get everything to this stage so that nothing is left empty, you know, just in case we don't get to everything. This is the entry room to Corva Hive's area, and she is from ancient Egypt, and she was originally a priestess of Khepri, an insect-headed god, and so she has powers of the swarm, of all animals that swarm. So we get to play on the ancient Egypt aspect, and her first set kind of sets the scene. You know, you've got some canopic jars, you've got, this is the mummification room, and you've got mummification tools over here, and that's a door for folks. This first set just sets the stage of her area, and it's a very immediate, oh, I know where I am, I know my setting. So these are canopic jars, and each one has a head of a god, and when you do mummification, the internal organs all go into different jars. I don't remember all of them. I think heart is in here and liver is in this one, you know, but they all have their purpose, and it's a system that they do. It's not willy-nilly. You know, they're all done the same way, tradition, system, and this room kind of reflects how they're doing it. Everything should have setting, situation, and characters. So the situation is the mummification, you know. The most control that you have as a director is on paper. And then you give it to your staff and they interpret it in their build. And the painter might see something in the build and that inspires them in order to, you know, do something different a little bit in the set. You know, and then your actors come in, and as a director you've lost all control because the actors then do their thing and they really help bring it to life. So right now when it's this bare is when I have the most control, and I have to make choices that make the set designers and decorators and the actors make the choices that I want. So my statements have to be bold for them to follow suit. If I make weak statements, then they're going to want to stand out and they're going to want to do something stronger. So this is a big set. I just wanted that classic temple look with the big columns. And you can barely tell, but we're cheating each row of columns in a little bit to give it a little bit more length and a little bit more scale. We've got a big icon piece that goes up here. This room will have projections of bugs all over the walls and the floor. Eventually, I want to do an interactive Connect system where the floor is covered in bugs, but as you walk through, it tracks you and the bugs all move out of the way. So this is set up for down the road. As I can get my hands on that grubby technology, I'm going to grab it up and use it. This is cockroaches, because there's a lot of layers and stuff that has to happen. This will be Corva Hive's treasure room and throne room. Her treasure is all of her egg sacs. So in here is going to be all of these egg sacs and gross things, and then she's actually up here, and you'll go under her to get into a hallway of transition. I call a briar thorn hallway type deal. Visually, I love the briars from Sleeping Beauty, but I love the visual of those thorns. And so that's why we did this hallway. This is going to be a very farmy area, and then we'll go into our canning cellar. When I was a kid, I was afraid of my grandmother's canning cellar, you know, because there were so many shelves and all these little weird things in jars that I knew I didn't like to eat. So I actually did a canning cellar here. This is kind of built like you're going through cellar doors. So you come through the cellar here. Most of these still have to come up yet. But again, this is like a backstage look early You know, none of these have their detail layers on. Not even all the jars are mounted yet. And this is the Annabelle area over there, and that ends in a festive witch burning. So we have a lovely poison prop animation that's going to come out at guests here. They'll travel along the outside of the room. This is a town square recycled from a asylum entry that we had a few years back. So that's what we got going on this year in our big expansion. We're actually open lots of Thursdays and Sundays this year too. So it's not just Fridays and Saturdays, but you've got Thursdays and Sundays. You can come out and see Dark Hour. We're looking forward to an amazing season.